So a question I got asked earlier this week was, help, I really like them, but there's no spark. What do I do? Which made me want to do a video talking about chemistry versus compatibility and whether we have to give up chemistry when it comes to looking for love, or whether we over prioritize chemistry when it comes to looking for love. So I want to do a deep dive into this topic today. And if any of you don't know me, I'm Caitlin, otherwise known as Compatibility Coach, and I'm a life and love coach who works with amazing people, and especially women, to find love and create healthy, happy relationships, first and foremost with themselves and then others. So on to the topic then. When I think of the question, do I have to sacrifice chemistry for compatibility? The short answer is no. You get to have both, and you should have both. However, there are some conditions attached to it, which is what I want to talk to you about today. So when we think of chemistry, we think of that insane sexual attraction, the spark, the butterflies, the intensity. It can be fun and bouncy, or it can be slow and sultry, but it's quite an addictive high, to which we compare compatibility, which can seem quite boring or unromantic because there's not always that incredible intensity there. But compatibility for me is the kind of glue that all holds it together. It's sexual compatibility, it's emotional compatibility, it's compatibility of values and what you want from life, it's intellectual compatibility, it's what really is going to give your relationship the foundations to last in the long run. And it's something that we often don't get taught about, or it's quite rare, especially when we're younger, that we can prioritize this. But for me, without that compatibility, without that longevity, then your relationship can perhaps fizzle out, or it won't necessarily go the distance. And it's not about having all areas of compatibility, for example, hate my husband's hobbies, but it's about having enough in the areas that are really, really important to you. For example, if your kind of number one non-negotiable is that you have to be able to talk to them about certain intellectual topics, then that would have to be there for you, versus somebody who would be very happy to get that from friends or family or whatever. So it's going to be very nuanced and very different for everybody. But I wanted to give you a flavour of what compatibility looks like. So here comes the issue, because we are taught really to prioritise chemistry, and we are taught to really prioritise sexual attraction, because for us, I think that's what differentiates somebody being a friend versus somebody being a romantic interest. And it also doesn't help that from a young age we're taught, through films, romantic comedies, TV, whatever it is, that love is fireworks and chasing and drama and all the sparks in the world, and it's very high octane, it's big gestures, isn't it? So that's what we look for automatically and without even realizing it. However, there are some problems that come with over prioritizing chemistry and ignoring compatibility, or kind of only looking for the spark. So a few of those reasons can be, first of all, if we do have a bit of an anxious attachment, or we have more of an insecure attachment, what can happen to our body is we get very used to those highs and lows, the emotional highs and lows that come from dating somebody where there is quite a lot of push and pull, where you're not sure about what's going on, where there isn't that security. And that's what we kind of condition ourselves to think love is. So when we meet somebody who is calm, who is secure with, we tend to think they're boring because our body isn't activated. We don't get those usual kind of alert systems. So we might not have the butterflies, we might not have the adrenaline, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't fancy them or that they're not right for you. It might just mean that they're not setting off your internal alarm systems, which actually is a very good thing. Another reason why we shouldn't only prioritize chemistry or be looking for the spark is only, I think it's 10-11% of people claim love at first sight, which means 90-89% of people haven't, which means it's been more of a slow burn for them. And I personally think the 10% that claim love at first sight mean there was insane sexual attraction and chemistry, and then they got very, very, very lucky on the long-term compatibility elements. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen and it can't happen, but it's so important to slowly build those blocks of friendship, of respect, of loyalty, of fun, of light, of enjoyment, rather than just going all in and focusing on that chemistry. And it takes on average about 3 months to really get to know somebody, to know whether you do have those aspects. So writing somebody off because they don't look the way you think, or you don't get that movie-like intensity, can be doing yourself a real disservice. Number 3, why we shouldn't be always looking for chemistry over compatibility is some people are just very sparky and flirty, and just because they are like that and there is chemistry doesn't mean that there is going to be a successful relationship for it. So chemistry doesn't equal compatibility. As we've said, we need the compatibility for long-term relationships. Number 4, what else do I want to say here? A lot of the time we have chemistry with unavailable partners, which why we're attracted to unavailable partners is a whole host of other reasons, which I have done in various other podcasts. But if we've been taught again from our blueprint of what love is, then it can be a little bit tricky to sometimes differentiate between those early warning signs of somebody being unavailable, and also our brain is wired to seek rewards our brain is wired to seek or appreciate rewards that are unpredictable, so we get more obsessed when we don't know what we're getting. What else do I want to say? Is there anything I want to say? Are there any other reasons why we shouldn't be looking at only chemistry? The one I will leave you on is, with most of my clients, I do quite a lot of visualizations, because sometimes if we haven't experienced safe relationships or relationships that feel calm, or we haven't experienced any relationship, right? If something hasn't happened to us, it can be difficult to trust that it's actually going to come and that we would be able to recognize it. So visualizations and meditations are a brilliant way to tap into this. And every single person I've ever worked with over hundreds of hours of coaching, when we've done this, has said love feels calm. Who've said it makes them feel warm, makes them feel safe, they feel content, their shoulders relax, okay? So that is sometimes the opposite of what intense chemistry or sexual attraction does. That hypes us up, that can make us tense, you know. Love ultimately feels calm. And that's got to be your barometer when it comes to dating, if you are intentionally dating to meet somebody. The other topic I want to mention within this video is sometimes we get confused, and going back to that early question, help, I really like them, but there's no spark. It is important to fancy and have chemistry with the people that you end up with, because as I said, that's what differentiates them from being just a friend, right? So you're not, I hope you're not going to, you know, think you have to settle for somebody because they're nice, because they're kind to you, because there is that respect and that loyalty. You know, if you've done enough work on yourself and you know yourself well enough, you will have a perhaps, you know, a deep knowing whether they're right for you or not, okay? And just because somebody is secure, is nice, does like us, doesn't mean that they're going to be the one. So this isn't about ignoring chemistry, it's not about settling, it's not about picking the first person who likes you that comes along, but this really is about being aware of what chemistry can mean because of all those things we talked about, knowing yourself enough to choose the compatibility as well as the chemistry, okay? And with clients, I always say go on the second date, and we have to be looking for things that we find attractive about people. We have to be looking for things we like, because as I said, we've been a bit warped in terms of its first, you know, first glance, isn't it? It's first dates, in the first 5 minutes we decide. And because of unhelpful, you know, romantic blueprint patterns, because of past experiences, we're not always the best at making those decisions for ourselves. So that's why we've got to slow down. So I would really encourage you, every date you have going forward, think of 5 reasons that you like them, 5 reasons they were attractive, and go from there. See how it could change the game for you. Thank you so much for listening. Please do rate, subscribe, review so I can keep making these videos, and any questions, just let me know.